Going in. Voodoo, get to the ribs. Gonna need extract.
The 2010 Medal of Honor reboot was a competent shooter that just didn't have any ambition. It had a few highlight moments between its big problems, and in the end it was just kind of okay. Medal of Honor Warfighter aims to accomplish a lot more than its predecessor. Developer Danger Close has talked a lot about nailing the authenticity of playing as a Tier 1 super soldier, and how a more human story would show you the cause, effect, and consequences of wartime violence. If you're hoping that any of that would wind up as truth, sorry, got bad news. The single-player stuff in Medal of Honor is just as empty and unoriginal as its upsetting multiplayer.
Daddy?
Warfighter is a beautiful game, just gorgeous at times. The Frostbite engine hasn't looked this good since, well, Battlefield 3, and the high production values and whiz-bang spectacle of stuff getting smashed into pieces gives Medal of Honor a fantastic visual edge over most of its competition, and the CG, it's uncanny valley levels of scary good. That said, there are considerable performance issues on all platforms. The frame rate drops into single digits, characters disappear or get stuck inside pieces of the world, and textures load slowly or look washed out on 360 and PS3. This is a big budget game with low budget problems that Danger Close clearly didn't have time to iron out before release. Unfortunately, the story and characters are also pretty terrible. Preacher, our main protagonist, is the center of a sad sap story about a problematic marriage. Military guys sacrifice a lot in their personal lives, and Warfighter communicates that message pretty well. But it's impossible to feel compassion for this obnoxious bro dude when you spend his campaign killing hundreds of evil foreign men. Emotional moments fall completely flat at every turn. It doesn't help that the convoluted story has you jumping from one country to the next, flashing back within flashbacks, and changing characters every other mission. Medal of Honor is a confused mess, and it wastes its story potential completely. I didn't know who these men were, why I should like them, or what their motivations were. If you ever find out what this game is about, please share with the rest of the class. That said, I can't recommend enough against playing Warfighter. The campaign's deepest problems exist at the core of its aging design. The single player is at odds with itself. The linear missions are routine and generic, and kind of desperate to emulate the scripted sequences of better shooters, and it's all filled with dumb dudes waiting to eat your bullets. There's the turret section, the stealth sequence, the car level, the boat escape, and more than enough on-foot chases to make you sick. Because the vast majority of what happens during these scenes is out of your control, there's not really a sense of player agency or accomplishment. Nothing you do has an effect in the world or on its terrible characters. Nevertheless, the gunplay does feel stronger in the single-player campaign than multiplayer. Bullets tear through enemies, and scoring headshots makes you feel really bad for that poor guy you just shot in the face. On the adversarial side, guns feel completely different. They're significantly less lethal against other human players. Bullets to the head or heart don't drop them like they would an AI guy, so it feels a little cartoonish, definitely frustrating, and anything except the authenticity EA and Danger Close promised. Where multiplayer is at its best is with its distinct classes, based on specialist operatives from various countries. The Spec Ops guy runs really fast, uses an SMG, and can see through walls with a special ability. The Heavy can beef up his armor, and he can take more hits than most other guys. Smokescreens, helicopters, radar jammers, and airstrikes make up the most useful on-the-fly bonus items. These help mix up the flow of the fight, have to be earned by playing well, and are class-specific. These give you motive to play as one class over the other, and to play better. But the game types in Warfighter are so simple and familiar that tactical thinking doesn't really count for much. You capture the flag and home run, but there's no respawn, so be careful. Hotspot keeps the bomb site formula from getting too predictable for attackers, but the randomized location ultimately leads to the same sterile tug-of-war it always has since Counter-Strike made it popular more than a decade ago. That's a really long time. Plus, some questionable map design will leave you turned around, blocked off, hitting dead ends, and generally not being able to get where you need to be easily.
Fucking AFC all over the place. Be ready. Keep the hostages down.
Medal of Honor Warfighter is a huge letdown and a bad sequel. This campaign is confusing as a story and plain boring from a gameplay perspective, while multiplayer offers nothing that hasn't been done better elsewhere. There's so little originality in Warfighter single player and multiplayer that it's a shame Danger Close just didn't dedicate all of its efforts to one or the other. For more on Medal of Honor Warfighter, vault over to IGN.